Just a couple of days ago, we got our final official trailer for the Backrooms movie. Along with it, I found many things. For example, there are animals in the Backrooms? Anyway, let's get right into it. At the beginning of the newest teaser, we get a shot of a neighborhood. And this is not the same neighborhood from the trailer. And neither was it the same one in the Pitfalls video. So, I was wrong. We're not going to talk about it though. We then get confirmation to where Clark was knocking from previously released photos. And that window belonged to his camera crew. These characters are named Bobby and Kat. I'm not sure if that's a cat with a K or not, but I'm gonna assume so, and I'll be calling Bobby by Bob. They seem to be roommates or even lovers and friends of Clark. Also notice the number on their door says 130, and I'm not sure if that represents the level of the Backrooms as an Easter egg, possibly being level 130, because these scenes in the trailer have a really similar appearance to it. Although we know levels don't exist in Kane's version of the Backrooms, I just have to put it out there before I get flamed in the comments. That is a huge neighborhood though, and not only objects, but animals are confirmed to be in this version of the Backrooms, because we see a new area of the complex, possibly being set up by Async, and later in the teaser we see the same seagull in a flock. But what's most interesting is that it was still alive because it continued to fly away from Clark. And belonging to Async, we could finally see what's inside of the bag from the previous trailer. This confirms that Clark wasn't keeping the bag there to store stuff because it doesn't seem to be too hidden, but this next piece of information explains why. Upon opening the bag, it's revealed that it belongs to none other but an Async employee. The actor on this is actually Avon Hogia. I've been waiting to see who's been listed on the cast early on in IMDb, along with VHS tapes, a white box, and many colored discs. But what could be in those? I'm assuming we'll see in the movie, considering how obsessed Clark is. He'll likely take a look for himself. We see one of the members on Clark's team going deeper into the pool rooms like area in the trailer. Clark is then shown running back to the null zone from when he first entered. I'm assuming after he found that bag. As for why he's running back, I have no reason, although it could be he's simply going back to document this place after seeing how far it really goes. And you can notice he doesn't bring any collectives from it, so maybe he doesn't take that bag with him. But could that mean he encountered something that prompted him to leave it there? In the next couple frames, we see 3 sofas being clipped into the carpet, with red lighting in the background, and another opening in the wall that leads down like a ramp, which could say that this is connected to the Pitfalls, because in Pitfalls we notice the holes aren't parallel, and instead on a slant, which is why the Async worker in that video wasn't injured as much when falling down. The wallpaper also looks different, which is another piece of evidence relating to that, and could mean that Clark could have fallen through whilst exploring the complex, because we see on the map that he had mapped some sort of room like the Pitfalls, and the red lighting could potentially be the neighborhood or city from the found footage. It's then confirmed Bob made it back up, which I didn't expect, why not, but there's something off about this scene, because Bob actually seems to force Kat away, and on the left of the screen there's a black colored shape behind her, which wasn't there frames earlier in the scene. I see a lot more in this scene than others do. From a recent seemingly fun interview, his actor spills a bit too much information, because whilst on the interview when the cast is speaking about the ramp, he says he fell down it. That leads me to believe he had purposely fallen down to sacrifice his life for her, because he was infected by whatever was actually in that basement. I really hope they don't die. They're secretly my comfort characters as of now. I really don't know why Clark would send Bob through this, and Kat, knowing that he's so invested to it. I would expect himself to look at that, and not possibly sacrifice one of his own people. Before I get into that, the next shot in this trailer is of before we see Mary running through the tight hallway from the first trailer. It could be her way of getting away from something, maybe even an entity. And on the other side of that tight space could be where the Async workers were fighting from the trailer. We also see that Clark and Mary actually team up at one point to explore the Backrooms, which may mean that he finds him at some point. Maybe Clark is looking for his friends and Mary does the same for him once he's missing and stops showing up to his therapy sessions. Please don't tell me something happens to Bobcat. That's my ship name. You really shipping the characters, bro? Hold on. I can explain. Look at this dude shipping the characters. In a bad sign, flickering lights. I don't trust what could happen after this because Mary is seen with blood on her clothes, in the same clothes as she's wearing further into the trailer. And Clark actually steps back. It is not good news. And I'd like to say this movie is supposedly not for people with a sensitive stomach, meaning there could be potential gore or body horror, and not the cheap PG-13 kind. I mean, this movie is rated R. For me, that's a good thing. I like to see more of what the Backrooms could do to people who stay too long in it. In the next scene, we see a room with paintings and windows, and on those paintings, we have the same symbol from Found Footage 3, and it's the same as the pendant Kane Parsons is wearing at the premiere. It is of a kind old son, like Kane Pixel's music YouTube account profile picture, and in a video titled The Kind Old Son. But what could this mean? As of now, there's nothing confirmed related to it, but I'm sure we'll learn a little bit more of it in the movie itself. Afterward, relating to when Bob falls down the ramp where the entity is, we get more shots of this room filled with trash, but it isn't Bob this time. That is clearly Kat, sadly. I really don't hope she dies. I think that as he was trying to protect her by falling down on purpose, she goes after him, leading to this moment. And what I notice is a dead async employee, or just an empty hazmat suit, or maybe even the one from previously in the trailer that Clark picked up the ID card of, and Clark could potentially use that to explore more about async, maybe uncovering who is the one in that suit from the trailer, being Clark himself. But like I said, during the interview with the cast of the Backrooms movie, Bob's actor mentioned falling down the ramp. This leads me to believe that what Mary is chasing after or running away from could be him, because in the corner of that particular scene something moves, something hand-like reaching out to her, with the camera on the ground instead, which confuses me because didn't he get the camera back up the slope? And there's no way Clark could get it back up if we went down after both Bob and Kate are down there. So is this why the person in these trailers need to explore so deep into the complex? Cause we get another shot of the pool rooms like area with an empty bathtub, light shining from I'm guessing a window, some vines growing, pipes, and a door, but the number 409 on the wall right next to it. So could this room transition to one of those houses from the neighborhood Mary lives in? But we never see her holding the camera, so that's up for speculation. And of course, you already know when I see a number I'm gonna have to search up the level name. This one is called the Paper Rooms, level 409 of the wiki version of the Backrooms. Although in game knowledge, the number 409 means error. For the final shot of the teaser, anybody, but most likely Bob is reaching out his hand to open a door. There's a possibility this could be Mary Klein, since she's the one opening the door from the cool shot in the first trailer. But she isn't holding a camera. Also, the hand is white, which could also mean that it's Cat, but we've already seen Bobby with it. What are your thoughts on this? With the Backrooms movie release closing in on us, a movie isn't the only thing Kane's prepared for us. Because at the end of the latest trailer, there's a website teased at the end of it, which leads you to a full Backrooms experience in LA that is already sold out, and people have gone to see it. It seems to be a replica of the original set, which is a shame because I was hoping we get to see the full 30,000 square feet. But this is still amazing news, because it's amazing how Kane put the effort into building this attraction for fans alike to connect and feel the world itself in the real life. I haven't seen any promotion done like this for a movie, and it's genius marketing. Some more movies deserve treatment like this, and especially horror movies. Kane even hired Stupendo himself to DJ in the Backrooms. How unreal is that? He's starting to make this whole fever dream a reality. Everything Kane has done for the fans gives me so much hope for what's to come when it actually comes out. Just last weekend, I watched the entirety of Kane Pixel's web series of the Backrooms as a way of preparation for the movie, not knowing it'll fuel even more thoughts into my head for this video. Here's what I learned, what I theorized, and got correct. At the beginning of the teaser I just talked about, a familiar sound plays behind Clark's voice after Mary enters the Backrooms. That track is Still Life, Kane's most popular, nostalgic, and iconic original theme. It first showed up in the Found Footage 3 soundtrack, and at the time I thought nothing of it, until I realized that that same video was the only time that song was used, and the only time we see this Still Life. Even the title says it itself, so why would it be playing in this trailer? Well, in the teaser before this one was released, we see for only a couple of frames an entity, and by comparison, it could be none other than Clark himself. It's kind of crazy to think about because the literal day before I posted on TikTok about how that theme will be used in the movie because of this. Before I sound stupid to you all, let me explain. The still life in the Backrooms is a failed recreation of human or object in real life, and in this case, people theorize that the mannequin from the flyer or logo from the Captain Clark store was recreated in the Backrooms, also being why that theme plays in the trailer. As for the two leg-like things in the upper half of this creature, some theorize it to be a parrot, the creature in motion detected, or the sword that the sign holds, although it is quite high up to be so. And about the creature in motion detected, the scaling is just so off, can't be. But that isn't it, because the Backrooms cast has officially been completed on IMDb, and one actor specifically caught my eye. That is Robert Bobrinsky, which is how I think you say his name, and who, as I said in a previous video, could possibly end up in this movie as an entity. And my theory is that he could be playing this character, the still life of Clark. It is very exciting to see this giant, a professional basketball player, to be involved in something that is like he's built for. I'm very excited to see practical horror coming back to our screens, and I could thank Kane for that. Along with the new cast updates, there's an actor casted as young Mary, meaning we could be getting some flashbacks of her story. I think that could happen either when she looks at something in the Backrooms and remembers it from her childhood, like the nostalgia a lot of us feel looking at photos of the Backrooms, or they could just pull some anime crap and give her a whole flashback before dying just to solo the whole verse. If this becomes true, I genuinely flip. Another theory I got right is that the furniture was in fact moved. A small little detail. I'm so smart. New map pad here. And back Back to the Ottoman Empire commercial, Clark references more space, just as Async was searching for that same reason. More space. I noticed this soon after watching the web series fully for the first time. One of my viewers did comment about the cardboard cutout and its significance. It read, "The cardboard cutout is right outside of the room that Clark is seen on the CCT footage. It was put there by Async with the speaker playing the audio. They know the entities are drawn to sound, so they played that as a way to draw them. And to make first contact, in case they're intelligent. You can even see the cardboard cutout behind Clark in the CCT footage, and see the power cables running over to it. You can see the same type of power cables in the part where the walls are narrowing, and the woman is bloodied and running. It's just a nice thing to know, and really cool attention to details. The cardboard cutout does seem to have a speaker on it as well from behind the scene photos that Kane posted himself. I can't wait to see more of Async. I've been obsessed with them ever since I finished the web series. I used to think they were like trash. I didn't really like them that much. Well, that's about it, and I expect this to be my last video on this movie until it comes out. I may even do a vlog, but we'll see. Until then, enjoy the Backrooms movie on May 29th with me, and I'll keep you updated if something catches my eye. Feel free to leave what you think will happen in the comments down below. I'll try to reply as many as I can if I'm not too lazy. Goodbye, my lovelies.